Good day, ma'am. Good day, classmates. I am Denise Raiza Berones, one of your facilitators for today's lesson. So today we will be tackling about lesson 12, which is all about historical negationism. So let's now proceed. When historians revise history, they engage in a legitimate re-examination or revisionism of existing historical knowledge about a past event. So, legitimate re-examination or revisionism is ginhimo ini pag may bag-o na mga perspective and evidences na naga-appear. So, it mga historians is regularly ito nga nagre-review hin mga old records and findings pag may bag-o na nga evidences na na-discover through meticulous attention to methodology or ang pag-evaluate han authenticity and reliability han usa na evidence na nag-emerge. However, reinterpreting the past could also be done illegitimately, usually with an insidious intent to misinform, malign, or forward an agenda. So, kumbaga, kung may the legitimate re-examination, nagiging illegitimate liwat inihiya pag may the intent ito sa tao to misinform or to twist and facts to mislead ang mga tao or para ma-promote ano sa tao for her or his personal or political agendas. So, this is what we call now the historical negationism. Let's now proceed. What is historical negationism? Historical negationism rewrites the past using unacceptable techniques like forgeries, manipulating statistics, mistranslating text, and editing photos. So, pag sumaringluwat kita ng historical negationism, amoy an illegitimate re-examination of historical account. So, meaning, amoy niya pag-rewrite history dishonestly. So, itiba ng mga tao nagamit hin mga fake documents or nag-edit in photos or even mistranslate na ran usa na text to make false claims that seems true. So, ang goal lahini is to misinform ang public to make han mga bad people as the heroes or para ma-erase ang era mga historical crimes kung may damanhera na himo na historical crimes during that period. In this lesson, we look at three historical cases of illegitimate historical revisionism or historical negationism. So, the first of the three historical cases will be discussed by yours truly, and the other two historical cases will be discussed by the other reporter. So, the first one is all about the Rizal's fake poem entitled Sa Aking Mga Kabata. The second one is all about the Marcos attempt to legitimize his regime and locate its rightful place in Filipinos' destiny through the Tadhana Project. And the last one is all about the denial of the Jabida massacre. So, let's now proceed and I will discuss to you about the first historical case. Every buwan ng wika, we hear Rizal's famous words saying, ang hindi magmahal sa sariling wika, higit pa sa hayop at malansang isda. He who does not love his own language is worse than a beast and a stinking fish. So growing up, I guess tanan kita is nakakabatihin ni Permi na line that it came from Rizal and we believed it then na hiya ang nagsurat hini na poem entitled Sa Aking Mga Kabata when he was just 8 years old. So, Inina poem is all about the love of language to love of freedom, which makes it sound like something Rizal would have written. Asyang mga tao is madagmit la tumuod na hiyaan nagsurat Inina poem. So, let's take a look at the poem. This is the poem of Rizal that has his famous line that says, ang hindi magmahal sa kanyang salita, mahigit sa hayop at malansang isda. And this could be found on a book of Hermenegildo Cruz in 1906 entitled Kung Sino ang Kumatha ng Florante, page 187 to 188. This is the English translation of his poem entitled To My Fellow Children, and it was translated by Frank Laubach.
But in 1991, historian Ambeto Campo noted that the documentation of the poem is lacking and the original manuscript does not exist. So, may the perspective ng historian na Ambeto Campo na discover daw niya that there is no real evidence na si Rizal ang nagsurat hini na poem because waray nakitaan nga original manuscript in his handwriting. And the poem first appeared in 1906 in Hermenegildo Cruz's book entitled Kung Sino ang Kumata ng Florante, a biography of Francisco Balagtas, where he noted that he received it from Gabriel Beato Francisco, who got it from Saturnino Racelis, a teacher in Mahayhay in 1884 and a very close friend of Rizal, who gave him a copy of this poem himself. So, the earliest appearance of this poem was in 1906, which means 10 years after Rizal's death, and it was found in a book by Hermenegildo Cruz where ginote liwat ni Cruz na na-receive ini niya kan Gabriel Beato Francisco nga nakuha liwat niya kan Saturnino Raceles, which is a very close friend kuno of Rizal, that makes the poem authenticity questionable. So, naging questionable na ang authenticity hini na poem kung ni Rizal ba talaga ang nagsurat. A new perspective emerged by Austin Coates, a Rizal's prominent biographer. So he provided a different origin story, suggesting the poem was passed hand to hand and eventually reached Antonio Luna, ensuring its survival. So there is another different story liwat from the biographer of Rizal, which is si Austin Coates. So nasa ring liwat yang ang poem is ginpasa-pasa hasta na nahikadto na lang kan Antonio Luna para daw kuno ma-ensure ang survival ni na POM. So, a different story liwat. In 2002, Neil Ocampo argued that Rizal could not have written a poem containing the word kalayaan because Rizal lacked a Tagalog equivalent for liberty in 1886. So Ocampo questioned whether Rizal forgot or did not use kalayaan in the years after writing the poem, or if admirers attributed the poem to him due to its quality. So, in 2002, ang scholarly liwat ni Rizal na Hinilo Ocampo gin-argue liwat niya na Rizal couldn't have written an poem kay may didto included no word which is kalayaan or freedom. Pero Rizal himself does not know the equivalent Tagalog term for liberty in 1886 na yet. So meaning the poem couldn't have existed when he was 8. So gin-question gihap han scholar ni Rizal na Ocampo na nakalimtan la ba ang paggamitan kalayan after niya masurat ang poem, or gin-attribute lain ni na poem kan Rizal due to its quality, kumbaga ang kaupayan ng poem. And national artist for literature Virgilio Almario traced the use of laya or kalayaan for freedom or liberty, noting it was not used until 1882 by Del Pilar and appeared in a dictionary in 1889 after being popularized by Filipino revolutionaries. So, a national artist for literature liwat na Virgilio Almario confirmed na the use of word kalayaan was not used until Marcelo del Pilar used it in 1882 and nag-appear sa dictionaries only in 1889 because ang poem ni Rizal was said na ginsurat niya 1868 when he was only 8 years old, and naging questionable na hiya because it was the first appearance of the book was in 1906, and napa-question na ang mga historians nga kung hiya ba talaga ang nagsurat kini because of the word na ginamit ni Rizal sa poem, which is ang kalayaan or laya, and nagamit lang hiya by in 1882 and nagnaada na hiya dictionary in 1889, and it was said na 1868 when he was 8 years old di da niya nasurat kun ang poem, so it was questionable. So, there is a skepticism about whether Rizal wrote the poem Sa Aking Mga Kabata, questioning the motives behind attributing it to him. So, because Rizal was already a prominent Filipino hero before the 1900s, and his name was used as a rallying cry by revolutionaries. So, napapaisip na ang mga tao hadto na time kung kay ano gina-attribute Nera and Pom kan Rizal. So, possible na ginhimoy ni Nera para mas ma-promote pa ang paggamit in Tagalog na language kay si Rizal is kilala naman na bayani before the 1900s and attaching his name to the poem make it more powerful. And in the early 1900s, the Philippines had a mix of languages, with Spanish as the official language and English being promoted by the United States. So the poem attributed to Rizal may have been used to promote Tagalog as a national language, suggesting it was as valuable as Spanish and English. So naisip ng mga tao na maybe gin-attribute ini na poem na Tagalog para mas ma-promote pa ang Tagalog as a national language because attaching again his name into the poem making it more powerful and reliable. So, finally, in 1936, a committee decided that Tagalog would be the basis for developing a national language, so a decision formalized by President Manuel L. Quezon through Executive Order number 134. So, finally, in 1936, nag-decide ang committee na Tagalog would be the basis para ang ato ng national language and President Manuel L. Quezon made it official in 1937. So that's all, ma'am, for my part of the lesson 12. And the next two historical cases will be discussed by the other reporter. Thank you po. Good day.